Hi, hello, and welcome. Today we will be talking about the new Netflix sci-fi physics horror TV show Three Body Problem. I know it's a little bit outside of what I usually make content about, but it is my absolute favorite sci-fi series, and I couldn't resist talking about it. So season 1 of the Three Body Problem plays a trick on viewers that have read the book. They changed how and when key traits of characters are introduced to delay the realization of which character is which from the books. This delayed introduction is in contrast to how generally, when there's an adaptation of a material, you generally meet your protagonist at the very beginning in the first few scenes. An example of this is how Saul is the stand-in for Luo Ji, the protagonist of the second book in the series, The Dark Forest, but that is not revealed to the viewer until the very end of the season. To further the subterfuge, one character is introduced into the group that doesn't have a direct book analog. Each of the books will have a central protagonist. That's a little bit less true in the first book, The Three Body Problem, since you follow Wang in the modern times and then Wen Jie at different times in history. But the second and the third book, you largely just follow one character, that being Luo Ji in the second book and Cheng Xin in the third book, Death's End. So it's a natural guess to think that Auggie would play the role of Wang in the TV show, especially given that she's a specialist in nanotechnology and is the one who fabricates the nanofibers used in Panama. But as the episodes go on, we learn more about Saul, Cheng, and Will, and it becomes obvious that these characters are the analogs to the protagonists of the second and the third book. And I have to say, having read the books, I love this change, introducing all the major characters of the series in the very beginning, as opposed to maintaining them separated in their respective books. What this accomplishes is that when the finale plays out, it will play out with characters that we've shared this entire story with, that have been with us since the very beginning. In the books, the characters at the end of the last book are only introduced in the third book. So what I think the TV is aiming to show is that when it's all said and done, the viewer will have a deep connection with the characters because they've been there the entire time. Okay, so let's get started and let's go through the Oxford 5 and a few closely associated characters, and I'll give you my best guess of who their analogs are in the book. Mild spoiler alert for most of this video. I will be trying to be vague about the events that occur in the Dark Forest and Death's End, and instead I'll be trying to focus on why I think a given TV character is the analog for a given book character. But regardless, I will be mentioning the name of some very important events. So let's take a look at Saul and Luo Ji, the protagonists of the Dark Forest. As soon as I saw how Saul lived and enjoyed his life, I started to think that he might one day be a wall facer and later the first sword holder that we all know and love.
Sex toys, happy pills, vintage porn,
But why did I think that? Well, because Luo Ji fucks. When we first meet Luo Ji in the book, he's being cold and a little bit distant after a casual sexual liaison, and the events play out almost exactly like in the show. The Trisolarians, as they call the Santi in the books, attempt to assassinate Luo Ji, but accidentally murder the poor woman whose name he couldn't even remember. At the beginning of the Dark Forest, he comes off as more impetuous and hot-headed, in keeping with the traits associated with youth. Luo Ji is presented as being more willing to give into creature comforts and enjoying the company of women. In the TV show, characters will make references to Saul being high. We see him indulge in psychedelics with some female company, and we frequently see him smoking a bowl. So I think this was the show's first suggestions that Saul might be carrying out Luo Ji's role in the TV show. Luo Ji's initial immaturity, his not wanting to be involved in the greater scheme of things, always trying to take it easy, enjoy a drink and a smoke, I think set him up to have a greater character arc in the story, since it'll give him a more interesting starting point from which to grow, age, and mature as he plays out his role in the story, growing to be a much older man who has seen many years come and go, and the passions of youth have faded. So in conclusion, Saul is very obviously going to play the role of Luo Ji.
Will you shut the up, troll? Our computer works.
I've developed a science I call calculus.
Next, let's move on to Jin Cheng. This one's an earlier reveal, and looking back, it's kind of obvious that Jing Cheng is going to play the role of Cheng Xin, or Xin Cheng, depending on what order you're using for given and family names, or first name and last name, as we say in the West. In the books, Cheng Xin is an aeronautical engineer that designs the Staircase project, and eventually becomes the second sword holder. She also receives ownership of a distant star, DX3906, from a terminally ill benefactor, whose identity is unknown to her. So it's not really much of a guess to think that Jing Sheng will be playing the role of Cheng Xin in the books. Okay, Will. This one, like Jin, is kinda obvious and straightforward, but I believe Will be playing the role of Yuan TianMing from the beginning of Death's End. Both Yuan and Will have engineering backgrounds. Both are tragically diagnosed with a terminal disease at a young age, and are talked into participating in the Staircase program by their unrequited paramour. So it's clear that Will be filling in for Yuan Tianming's role in the story. So let's just leave it at that so we don't give anything away. Next character of the Oxford 5, Jack Rooney. I think this character is a red herring using John Bradley's star power, his recognition from the Game of Thrones series, especially with his natural charm and the fun character that he plays. He would draw a lot of the viewers' attention in the first few episodes, begging the question of who is this character in the books. But then he is suddenly killed by Tatiana, which I think was meant to jar and disorient book readers trying to figure out which character is which in the books. So I think one of the reasons Jack's character was added to the Oxford 5 was to make it a little bit harder to piece out which character would be who, and thus the book readers watching the show could be a little bit more surprised, as it takes a little bit of work to situate everybody. But what about Auggie? Since Wong doesn't make an appearance in the second or the third book, whose role is Auggie going to take in the events that correspond to the Dark Forest and Death's End in the TV show? Well, seeing how fleshed out and strong her friendship with Sheng is, her connections to private industry, her scientific background, I believe that in time, Auggie in the TV show will take over the role of IAA in the books. In the second half of Death's End, IAA becomes Cheng Xin's friend and confidant, functioning as her right hand and also helping explain the events and move the story along. She is also present towards the end of the story. And Auggie, being the character with the most experience with working with private industry, makes her a natural choice for someone to manage a solar-scaled industrial empire, while others are in hibernation. And her scientific background will make her a suitable fit to stand in for IAA's background in astrophysics. Okay, moving on to the other characters. Thomas Wade. Thomas, along with Dashi, or Clarence, are the characters that are most similar to their counterparts in the books. But let's talk about Thomas first. I do want to say I'm loving the expanded role that Wade's character is getting at the beginning of the story. Liam Cunningham is killing it in the role, and I love what he's doing with the character. In the books, Thomas Wade is an American CIA operative that is militaristic, harsh, and heavy-handed, but determined and focused on a single objective. More importantly, he is absolutely committed to fighting the war against the invaders. Thomas Wade in the show is shown to be a little bit more refined, being an elegant man that dresses exquisitely. He's also mysterious and commanding. I'm really enjoying the character and can't wait to see more of him in later seasons. Okay, I do have to throw up another spoiler warning this part. I will be being a little bit more specific about some stuff that happens in Death's End. Let's talk about who I think Raj will be. The TV show will need point-of-view characters for the viewer to witness the events of the space fleet, the Doomsday Battle, the Battle of Darkness, and ultimately, the galactic humans. That's why I think that Raj is going to play the role of Guan Yifan in the books. I think Raj will be the character that we will see the Doomsday Battle through, and that he is going to be on the blue space. Ultimately, he will also be on Planet Blue and Planet Gray. And keeping in mind that I think the showrunners are trying to have the same characters present at the beginning of the show and at the end. One of the things I liked most about the story told in the Remembrance of Earth's Past, otherwise known as the Three-Body Problem series, is the vast scale and the scope of the story told. The Three-Body Problem covers a range of time and space that is practically incomprehensible to us. I think to really accentuate that idea and to make the finale feel more like the end of a long epic voyage, they will probably try to have as many characters that were present at the beginning also be at the finale. These characters will help the viewer meditate and reflect on the enormity across space and time of their journey. So that's why I think Raj will be one of those characters. I think Raj will be our point of view for the journey of the space fleet, the galactic humans, and that he will be there in the last chapters along with Auggie, Will, and Cheng. And I saved my favorite for last, Da Shi or Clarence Shi in the show. Fun fact, the Chinese character for big, Da from Da Shi, is just somebody holding their arms out, and that means big. In the TV show, Da Shi is played to perfection by Benedict Wong. Maybe I'm being too generous, I'm just really enjoying this character and Benedict Wong's interpretation of it. In the books, Da Shi is the everyman. He's just a regular detective that gets pulled into the greater events, and sometimes beyond his qualifications. Kind of like how he ends up at the UN guarding Luo Ji after just being a random cop. But regardless, he is a grounded and insightful character, often helping the protagonist of the different books see a situation in a different way, or providing some form of critical aid, all the while spewing his phrases of folk wisdom. To end out this video, I'd like to remember one of my favorite quotes from the book with this line that Da Shi delivers to us. "I'm a simple man, without a lot of complicated twists and turns. Look down my throat and you can see out my ass." And with that, I conclude this video. Thank you very much for watching. So let me know what you think. I'm a massive fan of the 3 Body Problem series. I read the books a couple years ago, and I'm gonna be reading them again soon. But let me know what you think, and if you have any questions, comments, or would like to see anything from the 3 Body Problem TV show. But thank you very much for now. Take care, and later.